and are immediately told by another lawful authority not to execute them, that undermines morale, it undermines cohesion, and it undermines the strength of our military forces, who are no longer sure what orders they should be following and what they should be doing.
Former Marine Colonel Doug Krugman, thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you so much, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for having me.
Listen to what he says. For him, the final straw wasn't some policy debate or budget fight. It was morality. Trump's decision to pardon January 6 rioters on the first day of his second term, that's the moment Krugman said enough. Because think about what that meant. These weren't jaywalkers. These weren't protesters who got a little rowdy. These were people who stormed the Capitol, chanted for the death of elected leaders, and tried to stop Congress from certifying the election. That's an insurrection. And Trump turned around and rewarded them with pardons. Krugman's oath wasn't to a man. It wasn't to a party. It was to the Constitution. And when the commander-in-chief openly sided with people who attacked the Constitution, he couldn't reconcile that with his duty. That's the line he drew. And here's where the Joe Rogan voice comes in. Man, think about how heavy that is. Because morality isn't something the military usually gets to weigh in on. You follow lawful orders, period. But when the orders start brushing up against authoritarianism, when they start making you complicit in breaking the very system you swore to defend, that's where good men walk away. And of course, how does the administration respond? Do they take the criticism seriously? Do they ask why career officers are bailing out? Nope. They call them woke. They dismiss decorated veterans as if they're college activists. That's gaslighting at the highest level. Because nothing about Krugman's resignation is woke. It's the opposite. It's conservative in the truest sense, conserving the Constitution, preserving the oath. Then you've got Sean Parnell, Hegseth's own spokesperson, lashing out at these anonymous generals and officers. He basically says, if you don't like it, put your name on it and quit. That's not leadership, that's a dare. That's basically saying, fine, purge yourself, get out. And you know what? People are taking the dare. They're leaving, which is exactly why trust is evaporating inside the ranks. And then you get to the really bizarre stuff.
It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military.
That's the commander-in-chief saying he wants to turn American cities into training grounds for the military. He literally calls them the enemy within. Dude, that's insane. You don't use your own cities, your own citizens, as props for military drills. That's Banana Republic behavior. That's authoritarian cosplay. And when the press asked Speaker Mike Johnson about it,
said at the Pentagon yesterday that he wants American cities to be used as training grounds for the American military. Is this the highest and best use of the U.S. military, and is this the right way to train them?
I don't serve in the Pentagon. I run the House of Representatives, and what we need to be talking about today is real harm that the American people.
If it's appropriate to use American cities as training grounds for the U.S. military, calling those people in the American cities the enemy within. I'm asking you, as Speaker of the House, do you think that's appropriate?
I'm not going to comment on your characterization of what the president said.
Those
I didn't
are
get to see that
quotes,
speech
they're not
because I was a little busy
characterization.
yesterday. Well, you can take his quotes out of context, which you often do, and I don't think that's fair to the president.
what does he say? Nothing. He deflects, he hedges, he says he doesn't serve in the Pentagon, no condemnation, no leadership, just cover for Trump. And man, when even the Speaker of the House won't stand up and say, this is not how we use our military, then you know the guardrails are gone. So step back and look at the pattern. You've got colonels resigning on moral grounds, admirals quitting over illegal strikes, generals whispering to conservative papers that trust has evaporated, civilian leaders doubling down with bravado instead of addressing the rot. That's a system breaking under pressure. The law is really clear about the oath. It's not to the president, it's to the Constitution. That's why officers like Krugman and Halsey can't just shrug this off. If they follow unlawful orders, they're complicit. If they stand by while the Constitution gets bent or ignored, they're betraying their oath. And these guys take that seriously, more seriously apparently than the people giving the orders. And let's not gloss over the risk they take by speaking out. The military isn't designed for dissent. Careers end when you cross the chain of command. But these officers are willing to burn decades of service because they believe the Constitution matters more than their pension. That's bravery. That's patriotism. Meanwhile, the White House spins it as weakness. They smear these officers, they attack their motives, and they double down on authoritarian rhetoric, like Trump calling cities training grounds, like Hegseth ranting about grooming standards while alliances crumble. It's all theater, all noise, designed to distract from the fact that the system is bleeding out. And here's when good men and women at the top start walking away, the rank and file notice. The troops pay attention. And once the troops stop believing the chain of command is legitimate, that's when you're in real danger. Because you can't fight wars. You can't project power if your own people don't trust the orders coming down. That's what Krugman's resignation represents. It's not just one man's protest. It's a flashing red warning light for the entire military. And it's a test for the country. Do we value loyalty to one man or loyalty to the Constitution? Because the more this administration pushes its authoritarian vision, pardons for insurrectionists, illegal boat strikes using cities as training grounds, the more it forces that choice on every officer, every soldier, every citizen.
Political loser.